the first use case or where it's been commonly used is really in the apparel space, but we're starting to see RFID expand into other industries.
Right.
It's great for, again, it's another great way of tracking product through the supply chain. We're seeing it in food service, again, in healthcare. It's just an easier way to track product, and you don't have to have like a direct vision into that barcode. You could have some, just a near field scanner with just a wand, and it allows you to track product in and out. Again, food service is a great way to reduce food waste.
You are listening to Power Marketing with Kevin Lee. Kevin and his agency Did It have helped thousands of businesses win through superior marketing, as have his books, articles, speaking engagements, and the E-Marketing Association Power Marketing podcasts. Here's Kevin.
I'm super excited to have Michelle Covey from GS1 on the podcast today, because they're like this gigantic organization that you probably touch you as a marketer or as a consumer every day, but you don't necessarily know about them. So for those who aren't familiar with GS1, what's the current elevator pitch, Michelle?
Sure. Well, first of all, Kevin, thank you for having me on today. So most people know of GS1 based on our barcode. I mean, that's really what we're known for. But GS1 is a global not-for-profit member-driven organization. We essentially bring businesses together, brands, retailers, even hospitals, trade associations, but we bring industry members together to help solve business problems through standardized processes, whether it's in identifiers to help identify products or locations in the supply chain, or barcodes to help track that product through the supply chain, or have it go beep at the checkout stand. Those are some of the things that GS1 does in order to help businesses just be more efficient.
Yeah, I've certainly become aware not only of the barcodes that are on Truth Nutrition products, but in our own supply chain. I've seen how warehousing and production use barcodes in their process. And one thing that the last few years have made painfully obvious is that there's been an increase in awareness about the supply chain fragility and questions about the origin or quality of products, all the way up the ingredients chain, right? You want to know, where did this come from? Is it expired? Is it not expired? So where do standards and barcoding fit into that construct?
Well, good question. So first of all, it starts with just that basic product identification.
Right.
So that's really the core of our standards, is identifying a product. And it could be a raw material. It could be the actual product that is sold on the shelf. But being able to identify it first allows you to then start to track it. So once you identify it, say even if it's a strawberry in a field, then that grower can then identify it and have it actually be tracked through the supply chain, through the packing house, through the distributions into the actual store. So a consumer at some point can scan a barcode and know where their strawberry came from. And to your point, what's the expiration date, that sort of thing. So, having that identification is really the first step in that key to unlocking that transparency in the supply chain.
Right. It brings up a sort of follow-up question, which is, I would imagine that becomes really important from the perspective of product recalls, right?
Absolutely.
Particularly in things that may have been good when they were originally made, but or maybe something slipped through the cracks, either it was exposed to something, and knowing how to do the recall in the most efficient manner, because we've all seen in the news when what they feel like it feels like you over recalled something, and you're like, wait a minute, that was probably perfectly good. So is that one of the areas where it provides a lot of value to the supply chain?
Absolutely. We actually, as you said, we saw it with the spinach. There was a spinach recall, and because there wasn't good tracking, it basically required everybody to pull all of their spinach off the shelves, and it basically decimated the spinach industry for a while. Whereas the outbreak was in just one small field. If you knew that and you could track back to that field, you could just recall that particular batch, and then the rest of the supply chain would not have been disrupted. So that's where identification really is helpful. We've been working with the USDA and US FDA, excuse me, and we've had some of the like regulation on the food safety and also drug supply chain, where we have embedded some of our standards to help with that tracking of product through the supply chain, so that in case there is a recall or product that needs to be removed from the market, you could track it, know where it's been, know what the expiration is, and you can quickly and easily get it out of the consumer's hand, and again, consumer safety.
Yeah, and that clearly has benefits to the consumer, but also from an ROI perspective in the cases where you don't want to be throwing away stuff that's perfectly good.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's really important too, because consumers can now know when where their product has been through the supply chain by just scanning the barcode on the product. So,
that's a really good point. So one thing that's happened in the last, maybe 5 to 10 years is there's been an explosion of new products sold as a direct to consumer by influencers. Like everybody has their own, has their own brand, their own product. Celebrities, clinicians sometimes, get products made to their custom formulas, whether they're dermatologists or whatever. So has that changed your strategy in sort of, marketing to these new marketers, right? Who might not have been in your window of prospects earlier?
Absolutely. There's kind of two areas that we really started to focus on. Really starting around the small businesses, even those companies we saw a lot during the pandemic, where small businesses came, started up just to like get maybe PPPs out there, to get hand sanitizer, all that stuff. A lot of companies, or you had a little extra time, and so you're launching a product and started on Amazon. So we saw a lot of growth in our small businesses, and with that we kind of modified some of our offerings at GS1 US and allowed, instead of packs of large numbers of product identifiers, those GTINs, those global trade item numbers that you put on your product, we started selling singles. And so that helped provide a easier way for small businesses to get their product out online. So that was one way. But a lot of times when we hear direct to consumer, some people feel like they don't need to identify their product because it doesn't really go beep at a checkout stand, especially on e-commerce platforms. But we're also learning that some of these products then get picked up by large retail chains, and then they need that product identification. So, then they'll come back to, we do need that barcode. We do need to put a identifier on that product and get it into their actual supply chain. And so, a lot of times we say when you're starting a new product line or looking at launching some product, understand where you want your product to go, because having that product identification, even if you think it's just going to be a direct to consumer, who knows where it's going to go. And so you might want to start off with product identification right away.
Yeah. And I think certainly we've seen that the marketplaces, Amazon and Walmart in particular, but some of the other marketplaces as well, have made it pretty much mandatory, unless it's like a craft product, like something that might be on Etsy, right, where it was custom made for one person. Then obviously you don't get a barcode for one. But if it's not going to be a onesie twosie kind of a product, a custom made product, the marketplaces really do want standardization for sure.
Yeah, well, it helps really identify that product uniquely. So when you, as a consumer, are logging on and trying to buy that unique product, that, interesting picture frame or something, at least it's uniquely identified. You're going to get that particular one versus, maybe a water bottle or something else. So it really helps. And it also helps with inventory. So it allows those retailers or even marketplaces that do have their own fulfillment be able to track inventory, so they know exactly which products they have and where they are located in their own warehouses.
Sure. Well, I know I'm certainly guilty of when I want to reorder something and I'm not sure if it's somewhat ambiguous, I'll go straight to the number that's printed under the barcode and I'll do a Google search for that, right? Yeah. Because then I'll be sure that that's the exact one that I'm getting if I want that particular one. So it seems like it's got benefits for the consumers and for the entire supply chain and brand as well.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really know what that number is, but I refer to it, that's that G10, that global trade item number. Some
Hmm.
people also refer to it as a UPC or even in Europe, like an EAN. But that's the actual, UPC is the barcode that number
Hmm.
is encoded into.
Right.
We use it all interchangeably, but that number, that string of numbers actually is really very important. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't even understand it. Matter of fact, I didn't understand it until I got into this business, and then you take it for granted. But it definitely helps. Helps the even the brand be able to know that their product is their product that's being sold, instead of a different product or a counterfeit product, that sort of thing.
Right. I guess I hadn't really thought about the counterfeiting side of things. When folks get counterfeited, are they often trying to counterfeit the barcode at the same time?
I don't know. I don't think they're trying to, like, some like bad actors may put their own a different number on it.
Hmm.
And then but they have they say it's that brand name. And then, we have a database that says this brand name is associated to, or this company is associated to this range of barcodes. And so when marketplaces or retailers go to confirm that, they can look in our database and then know that range is actually associated to that brand. So if there are bad actors out there, then, hopefully it removes them, or it allows them to not, or blocks them from listing those bad actors instead. So
Right.
there is power in, getting a GS1 identifier, because we do have that database that helps, companies validate that they're associated to their products.
Absolutely. Well, people, probably think of barcodes only as UPCs. It's the one they see most frequently because when they're out shopping.
Mm-hmm.
But where else does GS1 focus within the area of data and barcodes? What's sort of your next tiers of focus areas?
So we have, as you said, the barcodes that we see in the grocery store, the ones that go beep at checkout stand, and those are like the UPC, the EAN barcode, and they're linear, those, straight lines. We are working on a movement to have industry start getting ready for 2D barcodes. So basically, it's similar to the QR code,
Hmm.
because those barcodes actually can carry a lot more information.
Right.
And most people can scan those with their phone. You can't scan a linear barcode with your phone. So that's where we start to see the power of the barcode expand, because now consumers can engage with it. You could get that traceability. You could, track a product back to the origin. So that's one area where we're seeing barcodes are starting to evolve.
Hmm.
We also have barcodes that GS1 has standards embedded within hospitals. So there's the data matrix, which is, people don't realize it, but if you're a patient in a hospital, there's a barcode usually on your wristband. They could scan that and then scan the product. So like the Band-Aids or the, cotton swabs, everything can then be attached to your patient record. So
Hmm.
we're very embedded in the healthcare space, which a lot of people probably don't realize. That's where GS1 standards are very involved. And then there's other types of barcodes. RFID is a form of a barcode where it's, radio frequency ID, where it's like near field. You could scan products, and it's really good for like taking inventory of a lot of products, especially in the apparel space. You don't need to do a one by one and check. You could just take a wand and track how many products, or see how many products are there. So it helps a lot with inventory and, a lot of different areas that our barcodes are very important in.
Yeah, when you mentioned healthcare, you reminded me I'm a big blood donor, and
Mhm.
New York Blood Center is also a did it client. But when I go to give blood at the New York Blood Center, not only are they're scanning in the blood pouches, but each individual testing tube is scanned, and like
Mm-hmm.
it must all matrix into the record for that particular donation, so that they know everything about it.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and
Absolutely. It's easier
it's
than
probably
trying to
anonymized,
manually
although I
track it
never
all.
really
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
really thought about whether they anonymize me as my blood makes its way into the supply. But that's a supply chain that's really important, right? Because they need to make sure
Absolutely.
that when they test it, that I'm good to go. That particular pouch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, RFIDs are super cool because there's different scanning equipment, but my understanding is they can be, I guess, potentially unique to the individual product as well.
Yeah.
As
So
contain a lot of information basically.
absolutely. And I think we're seeing RFID, the first use case or where it's been commonly used is really in the apparel space, but we're starting to see RFID expand into other industries.
Right.
It's great for, again, it's another great way of tracking product through the supply chain. We're seeing it in food service, again, in healthcare. It's just an easier way to track product, and you don't have to have like a direct vision into that barcode. You could have some, just a near field scanner with just a wand. And it allows you to track product in and out. Again, food service is a great way. So to reduce food waste, you could track, cases of food going in and out, first in, first out, so that you're pulling the freshest food when you're making that sandwich or in that deli. I think it's a great use case in helping reduce food waste. So we're seeing interesting use cases where they weren't there or they weren't well known years ago.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like there's a social impact element of efficiency that you guys add to the overall ecosystem that perhaps isn't fully appreciated by folks that are using you. I've certainly seen your team at events, including ones focused on FBA, where often folks are fulfilled by Amazon. They're selling on Amazon, or maybe they're doing DTC and they've got a Shopify or Magento or a big commerce store. And those kinds of events. What other marketing channels does your team use to educate businesses on your offerings?
Well, we have, first of all, just our normal website, but a lot of people don't know GS1 because, who knows that there's a company behind the barcodes. We do like to get out to events because a lot of people don't know about us. We do podcasts similar to, interviews like this. We do podcasts. We have our own podcast called Next Level Supply Chain. We do blog posts. We try to get ourselves out there in media. We do a lot of speaking at various events, depending on the industry. We are focused, at least at GS1 US, we have 4 specific industry sectors that we focus in: healthcare, food service, retail, grocery, and apparel and general merchandise. So we tend to go to a lot of industry events that are related to that. But we also try to, get our advocacy and evangelism with small business associations, any other trade association partners. So as many outlets as we can, just to get and a lot of other supply chain type of organizations we partner with.
Yeah. Well, obviously, the other folks in the ecosystem in the supply chain are probably tend to be much more aware of you, whether they're the label printers for the DTC products or the contract manufacturers or co-packers that are out there and end up touching the product on its way through the ecosystem. So I'm sure that you guys are already pretty well tied in with those folks as well.
Yeah, we actually have a pretty robust solution partner program as well. So we partner with a lot of solution partners out there that, to your point, like that are printing labels, that are in packaging, that help with product data management, like PIM solutions or data catalogs or data pools. Different types of companies that also help with traceability solutions. So we've got a pretty robust solution partner program too, that also helps get the word out there too, because their solutions enable standards, and they end up being yet another, kind of channel or a partner with us to help get the word of the value of standards out there in the industry.
Right. Well, as a nonprofit trade organization, you guys have a lot more going on than usual for an organization like yourself. So what has you excited about the next year?
I think so. Like I mentioned too, we're spending a lot of time focusing on where is the next generation barcode going. So, we've seen the linear barcode on our products for about 50 years now. But because technology changes and consumer demand is changing, moving to that 2D barcode is really a great focus area for us. It just unlocks a lot of information, and it allows a lot more automation of products through the supply chain. So that's really one area I think we're spending a lot of time on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really exciting just to see that change. And then we also have just a lot of focus area in that supply chain visibility. Again, I think regulations forcing it, but it's really just important for consumers to know where their products have started and their journey through the supply chain, and what's it made of. Is there organic cotton involved, or is it made with fair trade processes, things like that. So just having visibility into where their product's been and the sustainability practices is another area that I think you'll see how standards can help with that.
Yeah. I mean, that's super exciting because as it happens right now, all the Truth Nutrition products, which you can see behind me, they're all sourced with organic products, and the manufacturer we use actually has mass spectrometers and even an electron scanning microscope so that they can test all the products. But the better that the supply chain is at verifying, before they break open the package to throw it into their testing equipment, that they can feel confident in it. That makes everybody's lives much easier. A follow-up question though on the 2D barcodes, the QR style barcodes. I would imagine that a lot of the POS equipment that's laser focused or LED focused can't immediately scan those. Does that mean that there's going to need to be a shift within the retail environment or within a lot of these other environments that are used to dealing with either LED or laser scanners that will need to sort of also use sort of more photography based scanning equipment as they go to 2D?
It's interesting because we did some pilot work and some studies with a lot of the scanning material, scanning products and technology out there. And most of the scanning, at least the newer scanning technology, can actually read both that linear and that 2D barcode. But that's really where a lot of our efforts have been with what we're calling Sunrise 2027, is to make sure that retail point of sale systems are ready to be able to scan those 2D barcodes as well as the linear, so that if we start seeing products that have kind of both, we do see some brands that are actually making that full transition to the 2D barcode, like Puma, I think Pepsi. So some of those companies are already starting to do that switch. So retail systems are actually starting to get ready for that. But yeah, there are some companies that will have to make some investment in new scanning material or scanning technology. But we're here to help. We have test cases and pilot kind of protocols on how to get your systems ready. So that's, like I said, another major focus area for us in the next several years.
Yeah, and it mentioned 2027 in the name. So is that sort of the target date for a transition where everything should be ready to do 2D code scanning?
That's what we're trying to enable industry. So for those retail systems to be able to have that capability by 2027, some are ready now.
Right.
But we're really, that's what we're driving to, is to make sure that the retail industry is able to start scanning those 2D barcodes by then.
So if folks are sort of intrigued by all of the things you've got going on, from the barcode initiatives, the RFID initiatives, or just, they're thinking about launching products, or they want to learn more, where should they go from a resource perspective?
We have first of all is our website. So we have www.gs1us.org. And on that site, you could navigate to how to get your UPCs or your barcodes. What is RFID? What are we talking about with the 2D barcodes? A lot of different information there. We also have a YouTube channel. So GS1 US has our own YouTube channel where there's a lot of videos just, unpacking standards, because sometimes they can be daunting. So, understand, simple things on like, how do I assign a product to my or how do I assign a G10 to my product? To even, how do I assign products to my cartons and labels to be tracked to this supply chain? So a lot of really interesting information there, and in short videos, so you don't have to spend 3 hours, learning about standards. So we try to make it easy. So yeah, those are some starting points.
Well, somebody on the Truth Nutrition team will have to be watching one of those videos very soon. We've got a dozen new products coming out before the end of the year. So we will be taking from our existing number pool and assigning them to products pretty quickly. So
well, and if you at GS1 US, we have a tool for that too. So if you do license and get a prefix or those GTINs with us, we have a data hub tool that we offer as well, just to help you enumerate your GTINs off of that prefix. So it helps take the mystery out of it. And you could also assign a few product attributes to it as well. So you could start to build out your product file.
Right.
But it's a great way, especially for those companies that don't have large SAP systems to help, build out your product files there. We at least give you that tool to help those smaller businesses that just don't know how to begin.
Right. Well, thanks so much for sharing your vision and where you guys are at and how you fit into the ecosystem. It's fascinating. So I look forward to keeping up with your move into the 2D standards.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Kevin Lee's Power Marketing is available on all your favorite podcast networks. Kevin loves helping businesses excel at marketing. Having marketing challenges? Just like Santa in The Miracle on 34th Street, if Kevin can't help you, he'll know someone who can. Find him on LinkedIn, subscribe, or follow.